this evening. Checking out the next heat. It's a good looking one. We're going to see big Jordy Smith taking on Seth Moniz and Deivid Silva. That'll be heat 8 of the qualifying round. We're blazing through them here. Running right-handers. He gets so low down with so much drive. It's basically how he's stitched up CS requalification multiple times right now on the CT and in Abu Dhabi, and giving it plenty on the opening section. A little hung there, but look how he gives it a little squirt and get creative. And really just putting that whole body and that rump into the face just to grip it, and it gives that really nice crack. He is so good on the backhand in particular. These kind of maneuvers for him, which basically giving it so much board and body, and then from there maybe just putting himself a little bit back in terms of sort of fading out of that turn and can't go all the way to the end of the wave flick.
I'm seriously impressed by that control that he showed. I mean, I thought he almost overcooked it on that one turn. I was like, okay, no, it's all over here. But to be able to regain there and sort of get around that section shows incredible control. And I mean, you kind of took the words out of my mouth. I mean, this is his bread and butter, right? His backhand surfing is incredible. It's what, you know, saw him qualify back on the CT. But this moment here, getting around this and using that creativity to pull that rail up and under into the barrel, I mean...
He was on his way to a really good score here.
He was. It was great surfing. And, I mean, it was dynamic, and he was really coming from behind. You got to think, oh, he almost could have used that same technique that he did on, you know, coming out of those turns up into the barrel in the first section. But this moment here, I mean, he does actually, look, he gets a bit hung up, there's no doubt about it, right? But what he does here to get around this and get so low and position himself underneath the lip there, I mean, it's pretty genius, right? I mean, we haven't seen it yet today. Whether it was, you know, obviously it wasn't intentional.
Surf Abu Dhabi Pro as the qualifying round continues. Just saw the opening ride from Deivid Silva. Now Jordy Smith and Seth Moniz will look to fight back. The Hawaiian goes first, working on some backside turns before it goes hollow. Job well done on that last hack through the lip line. Nice and deep for Seth. One of the most hard-charging surfers on the tour. Hitting that section puts him behind, and he will stumble on his opening wave. But some good hammers before that first barrel. Got really deep and just got lost in transition. Jumping on the Sharp Eye team a couple of years ago to change things up. And now focusing on a big result here at stop 2. Had some really memorable waves to kick off the season of Pipeline, and we'll catch up with the winner of the last heat, Yago Doors, with AJ. Balanced his life on tour so well with those free surf sessions and video parts, even going way back to his movie Blending Colors that released back in 2012. Snap to start for the South African. One of the finest ever to grace the right-hand point breaks around the world. Two-time JBA champ, pulls in, gets really deep. One of the biggest guys on tour, showing that he has so much room. Some of the biggest open face hooks you'd ever see. He is totally connected on this opening ride. This 37-year-old from Durban jams it off the lip. Throws the fins into reverse. Everyone get on their feet. Jordy Smith still pushing it. All these incredible years on tour. And when he's throwing claims like this and smiling, he often goes on to some pretty magical things. I enjoyed every bit of that ride.
Are you kidding me? Like, the crazy thing about it, this wave is so predictable. So when you ride someone off on a barrel out there, like, it just shows how deep he was, and you couldn't see him actually for the longest time ever. So that was impressive. Look, his shoulders are gonna touch the water at some point right there, and then he kind of gets pushed out and somehow squeezes through, and he's the tallest guy on tour right now. I don't know how he fit in there. That's just a glimpse of a lot of stretching on the down times, because I don't know how he pulled that off, and just beautiful rail work, which we expect from him. And once again, getting a little better in the end. And I think he knew how good he did on the barrel, that he knew he just needed to finish that wave and finish it off with a nice reverse right there. such a good small wave surfer for how big of a guy he is.
Love it. Every single turn was dynamic and with authority, Jesse. How about this one?
Yeah, that's just beautiful style to see right there. And then pushing that back foot, stomping on that back foot to put the nose up, because that was the section right before the tube riding. So that thing bottoms out. And he did it so well to just keep calm and collected. And you see it, that's the shoulder part that I see it. That's his outside shoulder start touching the wall, because the barrel gets so small when you're deep that there's barely any room for him, and somehow he squeezed through and didn't let that glued him in the barrel and get eaten by the tube monster.
Gosh, if I'm sponsors around the world, I'm starting another bidding war for Jordy Smith. Remember that one he had back in the day? One of my favorite sevens that he's thrown down. Rolling into this, we've got Deivid Silva getting himself back on tour this year. One of the fastest, most spring-loaded athletes on tour. Driving off the lip, nice flow to start. Putting himself in the pocket. A little bit out in front. Now he's going to get some separation from the pit and just lose connection on his opening left. And Pinga going straight to the notebook. A slip off there. Now he's going to have another left where he won't be allowed any mistakes if he wants a chance at going straight to the round of 16.
Yes, that's a bummer for him right there. As you see, he's gonna get off the bottom turn. Beautiful projection down the line, but just sometimes it's the foot sliding as well, but just the placement of the board. Like maybe a little too high so that board starts to bend.
That's the big goal now. It's time. He's come close. It happened at Pipe, runner-up in 2022 to Kelly. And now we'll see his first right of the day, carving into the pocket. Nice swing into the white water, driving off the lip line this time. Now getting himself in a nice position comfortably. It really is his happy place. Anytime he can pull in, he's going to be dangerous. Springing off the top, nice extension through the down carve, back through the lip again. Now the Hawaiian slows down a bit with that section, almost wanted to pull in right away, has to lunge for it. It kind of got ahead of him. It's interesting when you're going down the line on this hydrofoil, there are flags that will indicate that the wave is changing. You know, it's changing with the bathymetry of the floor, also with the timing of the speed of the hydrofoil, where it will get hollow the more time you spend in the practice session. Sometimes it's in your vision. You can go by feel too, but you can kind of know, hey, this is going to bottom out. I think that one he thought anticipated it a little early. Waiting on scores for Seth Moniz as qualifying round heat number 8 continues here at the Surf Abu Dhabi Pro. To be more resilient if the wind picked up like we saw this morning, so the team did a great job to set it up for game day. As we roll in now with Jordy Smith on the back end. Nice snap to start, flowing has never been a problem for Jordy. He was often compared to a modern day Joel Parkinson when he first came on the scene. A little bit out in front of that backhand tube, but hits it well off the lip line. Honing his skills in New Pier in South Africa, now living in Jeffreys Bay. Getting nice and low, a little bit out in front again, but Jordy's going to wind up to throw down a backside hammer. And will step off into a 3-0. Nice creative finish for a guy that celebrated so much longevity, big performances on tour, 6 CT wins. One ahead of legends like Simon Anderson, Brad Gerlach, both with 5. Even Shane Powell had 5 CT victories. Glenn Winton also with 5. And one of Jordy's longtime rivals, even teammates for a long time, Julian Wilson with 5 wins. News is he wants back in on the tour as we check out this left.
Yeah, that third turn right there was money. And then he set up for this barrel, puts his foot forward a little bit, try to get as small as he can. And it's so tough for a guy his tall and like just a massive guy in general to get in such a small barrel. And then right here, this third turn after the barrel is pushing a little bit harder. Get like quite of a nose pick out of that. And then once again, this barrel is even smaller. And he managed to make it out. Got a bit sticky on that last one. And then finish it off with the 360, which is just fun for us to watch. The judges are not going to play too much close attention to that because it's in the end bit. But definitely there's 2 or 3 turns right there on that wave that he pushed it very hard and pushed a lot of water. Beautiful. Polished style right there, making that turn, extending that down carve. Transitioning to this turn here, which was my favorite turn of the heat of this wave so far. So he's going to push that back foot, and then lean on the front foot to get the release on that tail. Just a little bit lack of deepness of the barrel. Probably going to keep that score a little bit on the shorter side.
To try to go straight to the round of 16. Now setting up the backhand, Silva attacking the lip. Drills it again, now getting a third hack right there. Now the barrel, look at a stall. Gets nicely positioned in the pocket, even a little bit deeper. Doing well to make it. Flowing off the lip already into another blast. 6 turns already in that one with the fins out. Second barreling option, the final tube of the wave. Sets up a backhand whip reverse, and he will sink on the finishing move. So Deivid Silva on his previous right had a 4.83, so he's hoping for a new score there so he can try to break down the 8.33 requirement to take the lead off Jordy.
Yeah, that was very important for him to actually make the most of that wave. You're going to see this first barrel here from him. He's going to put his front hand on the board where they're first to set up, which is very unique. You don't see that much happening. And then now he's starting. He puts his hand once again, just trying to apply pressure into that front part of the board to get traction and generate speed throughout the wave. And he gets so deep right here. You're going to see this section. It's going to break in front of him and chandelier a little bit. And he's going to pull through it. Look. That section gets very deep, goes through the chandelier, goes through the foam bowl. Not as deep as Jordy, but it's still a very good work done, and he kind of unleashed it. That was a very nice vertical turn, but there's one turn that he really pushed and gets some variety from. Gets a blowtail, and then this is the one that he's going to finish, just gets stuck on the end. Unfortunately, as he was rotating, doesn't rotate enough for him to go all the way around, so he gets stuck in that middle, in between that. You're trying to force it to go one way. And
Caity Simmers last year, the rivalries are huge. The women's tour, they've got the day off today to celebrate with Caroline. They'll be out in the basin all day tomorrow. Seth whips this first turn in the pocket on the Sharp Eye surfboards. I love that second turn. Timing the third through the lip line. So it's kind of the recipe, 3 turns, then pull in. His 3 were solid. This one's keeping him a little bit out in front, so look at that canvas waiting for him. Seth attacking. Whipping it quickly down the line, pushing hard, and he does go down, really trying to force the slide.
And you could tell that, like, by his body language, at halfway through that turn, he saw that he kept it a little bit too short and too close from his body. So what that does, it kind of gives you like a little bit of weight on your heel side, and you just get kind of stuck, unfortunately for him, because he was looking good in the beginning of the wave. Spicy, a little bit more sure-footed, like driving down the, like, a lot of amplitude on some of the turns he had. But this one here, he keeps his board way too underneath himself. So what that does, you see it, like he goes over the handlebars, like you start to have too much weight on your heels, and that's not good for that specific moment right there for him.
My favorite part is he's showing no signs of slowing down. Oldest full time on tour at 37, blasting the first section super clean. He's got to better a 7 to change his lead. Putting himself under the hood, getting nice and low. And now coming out, Smith laying it down in the pocket, keeping that turn short to get back up there. Look at the range over the roof. And I didn't mind that. I think he felt he had to try to change gears to get into the excellent range. He already has a 7. But that had a lot in it for a meaty turn. It almost had a climb in it, a carve, and then he brought it back down, but just let go of it, Jesse.
Yeah, just pushing that back foot a lot, and the amplitude of the turn that he got was a little bit more than he probably expected. You're going to see him unleashing it right there and getting a little bit more than he expected. The wave kind of gets a little curvy as well, and he loses that inside rail. So
Jordy Smith's jersey over this incredible career. But now it's getting down to the wire. 1 wave left for these 3 athletes. Deivid Silva on his last chance to skip the night session tonight. Throws some water off the top. Last remaining surfer on the Kelly Slater Surf Designs. Kelly falling off tour last year. Betty Lou changing to Mayhem. And unfortunately, Deivid will be riding this whitewater into the night session, but don't stop watching him here because this reform has been a lot of fun.
this might be the first ever reform on the wave pool. Is he on the right section? Oh, it doesn't seem like he's on the right section for it.
But there's been some showstoppers there through the practice. A couple of big full rotations on dry cement, which has been pretty radical. Hydrofoil just takes a few minutes off just for the dampening effect to calm down the surface of the basin. Seth already through the top of his first turn. Nice slice into the pocket, hitting it off the lip now, ready to pull in. So that's that 3-turn recipe. Love that solid stance. He's going to armbar it for a little more time in the pit. So one of the longer tubes. And that just stylish carve into a snap. He's off to a great start here. Now knowing it's going hollow, he'll skip the pit and go for the alley-oop. Seth into a tough transition. Can't pull it off. We'll see if he goes for broke, if he tries to just identify one part of the wave where he wants to go big on. He was always very creative when it came to the surf ranch. And I love his backhand, Jesse. It reminds me of his parts in Modern Collective, the old Kai Neville movies where he'd do like backside Supermans or froggies, he was calling them, because he'd actually kick his feet like a frog. The rodeo flip he did in the Mentoize on a Red Bull trip was put as the best air completed at the time. Love his backhand and performance waves. So this one he's just getting a little bit out in front, enjoying a ride. He'll have the rest of the day off. And the 37-year-old will be in the round of 16. He'll also have tomorrow off, so yeah, he's got some time to relax here in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, that's, I mean, dodging a bullet, right? Like not going through that night shift. It's going to be very taxing on everyone. Mostly imagine that the last guy to surf is going to surf about 10 p.m. and next day starting pretty early usually, so it's not easy for themselves.
So a little victory lap for Jordy Smith. What was your take on this? Is he just going through the motions, just hanging out? I mean, a couple of those turns were really aggressive.
Yeah, I don't think he was going through. I don't think he was just playing it safe. I think he was trying to push, mostly because he wants to get the reps done, and he had only a 4.4 on the first left, and you kind of want to see, you kind of want to base yourself and see where you're at in each of the waves, you know, the right or the left. So I feel like he was pushing right there. The third turn he had on that wave was with a lot of amplitude, a lot of drive through the turn, and it's important for him to measure himself. Where am I at? Like, do I need to push more or less, you know?
He'll be looking at his backhand on where he can improve as he heads into the round of 16. That's 7. One of my favorite rides of the day for South Africa's Jordy Smith to move on. We'll be seeing Seth and Deivid later on this evening.